Hey, I'm Iron Lamb and I'm an artist who primarily illustrates. I've been drawing most of my life, but I've always wanted to learn to paint. I've attempted it many times, some attempts better than others, but in general they were below average. I got the idea the other night to do a sort of time capsule project, but this reference photo that I found on Pinterest of 3 digi-carat figures, I thought I could paint one of them every year and track my progress, since as time goes on I feel like I'm no better at painting than I was at my last attempt, and it's pretty discouraging. I started out by blocking out the colors over the reference image so that I had a good base to start with. I tried not to color pick too much from the reference, since in my experience you end up with a lot of muddy colors that way, and it also gives you less freedom with the colors. However, you'll probably notice that I did end up color picking a lot, actually, because I didn't trust myself enough to maintain the desaturation of the colors from the reference image. Once I finished blocking out the colors, I went back in and filled in the gaps with a neutral-ish color I got from the background of the image. Since I noticed there were a lot of gaps in the colors, because about halfway I gave up with adjusting the opacity of the reference image underneath the painting. At this point I realized I had made a mistake by using so many different colors while blocking out the painting, since it made the whole thing a little unclear to look at and pretty daunting to approach while rendering. But you know, you live and you learn. I decided that in order to attempt to amend this, I would do some rudimentary line art over the painting so that I could increase the contrast between the forms, and so that when I started rendering, I would have a better idea of where all the shapes were. Then I duplicated the line art layer and colored it with a blue hue and applied a Gaussian blur over it. I didn't do this for any technical reason, I just thought it would look good. Now was the hard part. I tried to go in and refine the colors a little bit by adding some warmth where I saw warmth and lighter tones where I saw light in the reference image. It looks kind of bad right now, and usually because of that I would give up at this point, but I try to trust the process, since that's always what painters say in their videos. I started by rendering the first aid kit she was holding, which I was super excited about because of the highlights and the pinkish ring around the red cross due to the photo quality. I spent way too much time trying to get it just right, but I think it's the part of the painting that I'm most proud of. For about the first 3/4 of the painting, I was using the oil paintbrush in Clip Studio Paint. I kept adjusting the settings to try to make it blend the way I wanted it to, but I could never get it just the way I wanted it. Towards the end, I discovered the marker brush and decided to use that instead. I was way happier with that brush, but I do wish it had some sort of texture to it. I'll probably try to make my own marker brush at some point with a little bit of the same texture that the oil paint brush has, so that it feels like I'm painting on a physical canvas rather than a digital one. At this point, I'm wrapping up the painting and adding some finishing touches with the marker brush, such as adding the highlights back in, and I did realize I had forgotten to render the hat and the bells, so I went back and did that. I'm not gonna say that I'm totally pleased with how it came out, and I felt like there's something missing, but my painting skills aren't at the point where I could quite pinpoint what it was, so I called it a day there. Something I'd like to be able to do in the future is to paint it without painting over the reference and be able to mostly pick my own colors. Since I wasn't confident in my painting abilities, I gave myself permission to go ahead and paint over the reference, even though that's not something I usually do in my work. Hopefully in a year's time, or at least 2 years' time, I'll be able to do it completely on my own. Like I said before, I'm not completely pleased with how it came out, but it was a lot better than I was expecting. I think I made a good choice with deciding to add some line art over the color blocking, since it helped my Illustrator brain better understand where everything was. Next time I'll probably block out the colors using less shades, since I think that confused me a little bit. Also, I'll hopefully have found the perfect brush for painting by then. I hope you enjoyed watching my process, and if you're as bad at painting as I am, maybe learned a thing or two. I'm excited to see what this piece looks like in 2 years once I've painted over the other 2 figures. If you are also excited, you should subscribe to my channel so that you know when it comes out. Anyways, if you made it this far through, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like and a comment as it helps my channel get through the algorithm, and I will see you next time.